That's the point of the L of the hand going up to the corner of the kettlebell. When we go down, we are not flipping the bell over the top. This is the mistake that most people make in the beginning. We are going around. So around and down for our catch. The same thing is true of the snatch. In kettlebelling, you have 6 basic exercises that you absolutely have to know. They're the same ones you learn with barbell, the same ones you learn with dumbbell for the most part. You work on a swing, a clean, a snatch, a press, a squat, and a get up. A kettlebell snatch is the most difficult for most people to learn. If people are hitting themselves doing a clean, or if they are experiencing pain doing something like a kettlebell clean or a clean and press, they are probably not yet ready for a snatch, and they should be working on their clean and press progressions to help them learn to line up better. If you are not lining up well with your clean and press, probably do not move to the snatch. Most people in the beginning try to do snatch way too soon, and they end up doing something weird to their shoulder because they don't have shoulder pack, the lat firing down to connect the shoulder to the back side of their body, or they are catching weird at the top. There are a bunch of things that go into a snatch, but being really good at clean and press really helps. An easy way to learn the snatch is to break it into phases. Snatching on the way down with a clean and press up is what this exercise is. You should go back and review every video on kettlebell clean and kettlebell clean and press before you even attempt this exercise. Starting standing at your kettlebell, step back 12 to 18 inches away from your bell, thumb points towards the sky, thumb points down. If you are advanced, this coaching cue changes, but for 90% of people who kettlebell, this is the coaching cue. Push your hips back, grab the kettlebell in the corner. The L of your hand goes to the L or the corner of the kettlebell. We're going to clean up first, press all the way up. Now snatch down. Snatch means you're gonna skip the middle. Clean, press, snatch down, skip the middle. Thumb points back. Clean, press, snatch down, skip the middle. Clean, press, snatch down, skip the middle. A snatch, like a clean, does not go over the top of your hand. It goes around your hand. Let's look at the clean, look at the negative of the clean, then look at the negative of the snatch. When we do our kettlebell clean, the most important thing is that our forearm is vertical. What we are avoiding is any type of barbell catch or barbell wrist. That's the point of the L of the hand going up to the corner of the kettlebell. When we go down, we are not flipping the bell over the top. This is the mistake that most people make in the beginning. We are going around. So around and down for our catch. The same thing is true of the snatch. We are practicing the negative so we can practice that turn of the arm. We do our press, the kettlebell is behind us. On the way down, we're going to point our pinky forward. Drop, point the thumb back, reload. Press all the way up. Pinky turns forward, arm remains straight, thumb points back. Catch. Press, pinky forward, push back, catch. Your kettlebell snatch has to be close to your body. That means this part of your forearm is going to contact the inside of your leg, up high on your leg. If your arm is down below the line of your knee, you are probably going to hurt your back. The same thing is true with our kettlebell swing. The forearms are touching up high. The same thing is true of our kettlebell clean. Same spot on our arm touches the inside of our leg. When we do our snatch, our arm goes down, we push our hips back to absorb the force, and the arm contacts the inside of your leg up high. That allows you to absorb the force with your hips. If your arm is too low, people tend to be absorbing the force with their lower back. Lower back, small muscles, hips, big muscles. Absorb force with the biggest muscles. The half snatch down helps people work on their snatch by getting them to start in a good top position by setting up with the clean and press, skip the middle of the clean and press on the way down, keep it close to your body, absorb the force with your legs. Let's run through it with the other hand. Starting standing up to the kettlebell, step back 12 to 18 inches away from the bell, thumb points towards the sky, thumb points down, L of the hand goes to the corner of the kettlebell. Your clean and press, vertical forearm. When you do the press, the kettlebell is not in front of you, it is behind you. Squeeze your glutes, drive your rib cage down. Your feet are pointed straight ahead. Snatch down, absorb force, come back up to our rack position. The most important thing is our alignment. Bent wrist or bad grip on the kettlebell will make your life terrible. If you have to, reach up with your other hand and adjust to get to this 45-degree down. Palm forward, kettlebell behind you, pinky forward, drop. Palm faces center, palm faces forward, pinky points forward, drop. When you've completed your reps, set it down with good technique. Most people get hurt setting the kettlebell down because they give up on their body position at the very, very end. Today we are going to talk about the single arm kettlebell half snatch up. If your clean is good, then we get to our overhead press. Press all the way up. Do not duck your tailbone back. That will hurt your lower back. Tuck your tailbone underneath. Squeeze your glutes. Squeeze your tricep all the way up. Make a straight line. The kettlebell should be behind you. If the kettlebell is in front of you, you are not going to have long-term success. The setup is the same, like you're doing a clean, but you skip the middle of the clean and press. From proper load all the way to the top, bring it down. This point, the rack position will be the rest. Push the thumb back to reload. Thumb points towards the sky, thumb points down, elbow is straight. Hike the weight back, snap all the way up. Squeeze the glutes, pull the belly button towards the spine. Lock the tricep, bring it down, pause. Check that everything here is in good alignment. Thumb points back to load the hips. Push back, snap, bring it down, pause. This is the rest. Reload, push back, snap, bring it down. Push back, snap, rest, push back, snap, rest. When you are done, push the weight back, set it back down, 12 to 18 inches out in front of you. 2 exercises teaching you 2 sides of the same movement. Half snatch down is the one that we learn first because you come from something you know, the clean and press. The exercise we just talked about is the snatch up. The setup is the same, but now you're skipping the middle on the way up and coming down in the thing that you know, the clean and press. Thumb down, hike back, have it close to you, get it up, bring it down, squeeze everything in your core, push back, load, bring it down, pause, check everything. The glutes are the most important part. Push back, up, down, push back, snap up, down, push back. This breakdown drill helps people get even better at the snatch. It helps them get better at the catch at the top. It helps them get better at the hip snap by literally taking everything below the knees out of the equation. Today we are going to talk about a kettlebell drill to improve your snatch dynamics, the half kneeling snatch up. In the world of exercise, the kettlebell snatch is the queen of all exercises. Like a chess piece, it is probably the most powerful piece that you have. You do snatches with barbells, with dumbbells, and with kettlebells. The kettlebell is the hard one for people to learn because it requires a bunch of technique, like the Olympic version. The drill we're doing today is breaking down our kettlebell snatch in a different hip position. Today we dragged this adjustable kettlebell from Bells of Steel, the Mark Wildman edition. It just has more weights in it so you can get more specific training. Up here in a literally called a well-built kettlebell backpack. I like the name, it's pretty hilarious. Inside we have a place to strap the kettlebell inside of this foam block. I'm actually going to use this foam block to put underneath my knee for this drill. The position we are starting in is called half kneeling position. One leg forward, one leg back. I've had about 3 major knee surgeries, so I like to try to pad my knee if at all possible because I have a screw running right through my knee right there. Leg in front, 90 degrees. Leg in back, 90 degrees. Knee, hip, shoulder in a vertical line. If this foot is too close to us, we don't have the support of this lead leg, and people tend to drop their hip back. You will notice that will not work. This is the bottom of a lunge position, and it's part of a getup. You should be very good at it. Lead leg, lead hand. Thumb points down, elbow is straight. Grab the corner of the kettlebell, the L of the kettlebell. We are gonna work on snatching the kettlebell up, and then we're gonna come down through a clean and press. We're going to push the weight back. Your forearm will contact the inside of your leg, really up high. Your hip will push back. You will hip snap your way up. The arm will come up. You will rotate around the bell. The bell will not go over your hand to a snatch. You will drive your rib cage down, squeeze your abs, bring the weight down, pause to rest, and then reload to do it again. Thumb points down, L of the hand to the L of the kettlebell, push back, snatch up. Bring the weight down, shoulder height. Pause here. Thumb points back, get it close to your body. Snatch up, bring the weight down, pause, elbow close to hip. Your forearm is vertical. When you change to the other side, stand all the way up. Do a hand change. Down, up, down, up. Change, get your other knee wherever it needs to be. Lead leg 90 degrees, rear leg 90 degrees, vertical spine. If you can squeeze your glutes in this position, you're doing it right. You are now set for the clean to load the snatch. Push back, hips back, snap hips, pause, rib cage down, abs on. Bring the weight down. Wrist position is key, elbow close to hip. Push the weight back to load the hip. Push back, thumb back, snatch up, weight down. Push back, snatch up, bring down, push back, snatch up, bring it down, push back, snatch up, bring it down. When you finish your reps, stand all the way up to do your hand change to get back to the other side. When you are training your kettlebell, you are working on your body position to get more efficient, to move faster, to absorb more force through the core and your entire body. It is a hip snap exercise, but the core, every time you catch the weight, is doing what's called a Valsalva contraction, which basically is compressing your core from all 6 sides, top and bottom, side and side, front and back. Your core is a box, for lack of a better term, and every time you catch a kettlebell at the top, your core fires in the way that it's supposed to fire. Just practicing kettlebells and getting to snatches tends to alleviate people's back pain very, very well because it retrains the core to fire equally on all sides of the body. Today we are going to talk about a kettlebell exercise to help you work on your snatch technique, the half kneeling kettlebell snatch down. Step forward, lead foot is in line with the midpoint of the kettlebell. Lead leg is a 90-degree angle. Rear leg is a 90-degree angle. If you're too far back, this angle is open and you're doing weird things with your hips, the goal is to have our knee, our hip, our shoulder in a vertical line at the top. In order to accomplish that task, it is key to set our feet and our knee in the right place so we get that about 90-degree angle in our neutral position. Kettlebell handle is perpendicular to the line of our body. We start the snatch down by doing a clean and press up. Thumb points down, grabbing the corner of the kettlebell, hike the weight back between our legs, catch in our rack position. Open the shoulder, press all the way up to lockout. The goal is to get the weight behind our body, drive the chest forward. We're now going to work on the snatch down. Thumb points back at the bottom. clean, press, snatch down, thumb points back, clean, press, snatch down, clean, press, snatch down, clean, press, snatch down. When you have completed your reps, push the weight back, let it drift back out to land in the same place it started, equal with the midpoint of the lead foot. When we set up, the thumb pointed down has a reason. If something goes wrong, your arm bends that way. If you mess this up in the beginning, you're not gonna rip your elbow in half. People will try to do thumb up, they will time it wrong, and they will hyperextend their elbow. Snatches are incredibly effective if you do them right. For the first, say, 5 years, probably think thumb down until you've repeated your snatch training with probably 10 different weights. The hard part for this is the down part. It's the terrifying part. Thumb points down, the clean, pause, press, get that kettlebell behind you. Rotate your pinky forward, then rotate your thumb back. Your hips absorb the weight and then you snap it back up to our rack position. We are always going to end with this vertical line. Press, push the chest forward, kettlebell behind you. Squeeze your core, squeeze the glute to protect your spine. Thumb points back. So think pinky goes first, then thumb, catch and clean, handle down at 45. Press up, snatch down, clean, press, snatch down, clean, press, and snatch down. Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we are going to talk about the single arm kettlebell snatch. There are a bunch of different types of snatches out there. This is the easy one, single hip dip. That means the hips go down once per rep. Think of it like a deadlift family of movements. Over time, multiple years of training, the snatch will change. You will start to do things called double hip dips. You will change the way you breathe, but it tends to happen in a logical and progressive order. This one is the simplest. Single hip dip at the bottom, inhale at the bottom, exhale at the top, one breath per movement. The kettlebell snatch is one of the best ways to improve your overall functional cardio with weightlifting in a small space. The side effect is you get a very good set of abs in a short period of time. Our kettlebell snatch, we set up in a normal standing posture. We do not need to turn out because we're only using one kettlebell. We do not need our feet wide. Put your feet directly underneath your shoulders with your feet pointed generally straight ahead. When people turn out, oftentimes they make their feet really wide and they will collapse at the knees. Think of most basic single arm kettlebell stuff in a standing and walking posture. You are generally supposed to walk with your feet straight ahead, so we should lift with your feet straight ahead as well. 2 feet point straight ahead. Step back 12 to 18 inches from the kettlebell for our starting position. Thumb points down, grab, sit back in your heels, feet pointed straight ahead. Push the weight back, snap, overhead. Squeeze the core at the top, lock the elbow, absorb down. Absorb down. When you have completed your reps, set it down the exact same way you picked it up. Push it back, track it down out in front. A snatch looks easy, but it is hard for most people. First thing that people will do is they will turn out and have their feet wide, and when they go down to the bottom, it will set their knees up in a weird position. With one kettlebell, feet straight ahead, feet shoulder width apart. The second thing that people will do is when they track down, they will not keep the kettlebell close to their hips. So think when you go down, the forearm of your body will contact the inside of your leg all the way up high. When people are learning, they will track down and this part of their arm will go down to where their knees are or below. This is loading their lower back more than their hips. Think the weight falls down close to the body, as close to your hips as you can get. The heavier the weight, the more important that is. The other thing that we hear a lot when people are learning snatch is that it is slamming people in the forearm. Very common when people are swinging the bell over their arm instead of around their arm. The snatch is just like a clean, only higher. The kettlebell goes around your arm. Let me show you a clean, then a snatch, then what people will do when they're doing it wrong. Swing the weight close to your hips. The kettlebell goes around your arm, just like a clean. So when I do the clean, it's going around my arm, instead of over my arm and over my arm. A snatch is a clean and press where you skip the middle, but the movement that you do with the clean around the arm is still the same. Now up high, it is around the arm. On the way down, think point the pinky forward, come down, around the arm, around the arm, around the arm, around the arm. When the kettlebell is up at the top, palm faces forward. On the way down, tip the pinky forward, start to fall at the midpoint, roll your thumb to point down, absorb force, weight close to your body, stand up and reverse that movement. Stand all the way up at the top of every movement. Kettlebells emphasize good standing structure. That means at the top, elbow is locked. Drive your shoulder away from your ear, stand all the way up. At the top of the movement, drive your rib cage down. If your ribs are up and your tailbone is sticking back, think of that probably not good. Squeeze the glutes as hard as possible, have the abs on throughout the entire range of movement. There are a bunch of ways to breathe on this exercise. In the beginning, the simplest way to breathe is in at the bottom, out at the top. In at the bottom, out at the top. As you get more advanced, that can change in a bunch of different ways, about 5 different ways. But in the beginning, the most important thing is to fill your body with air when you are absorbing force at the bottom. When you inhale, your body is filled with air, it becomes more rigid. So inhale at the bottom, exhale at the top. When you exhale, you involuntarily will contract your core. The kettlebell is trying to rip you in half at the top. Exhale to get your core to contract to stop the weight from going back. In the modern world, absolutely everybody should practice kettlebells. Kettlebells fill that role that used to be filled by manual labor, picking up a heavy object with one side of your body at a time, which causes your core to fire across the body. The majority of the modern population has back pain. The number floats around 60%, but that number goes up every year because people spend the majority of their life sitting. If you go to a gym and you do a bunch of bench press, then you should do kettlebell snatches. If you do deadlifts, you should do snatches. If you play any sport, you should do snatches at some point in your training. Think about snatches as endurance weightlifting. In the beginning, you will start with sets of 3 to 5, and you will treat it like strength training because you are strength training your core and your lungs and your standing position all at the same time. But you are never done with snatches. You start with sets of 3 to 5, and after several years of training, you will move to time under tension. That means where you do not set the kettlebell down or stop moving for increasing lengths of time. The classic competition time frame is 10 minutes. That means doing snatches approximately 20 a minute, non-stop for 10 minutes, 200 reps without stopping. So you need to start with strength training, build up your core, do volume cycles, and then build into time under tension. If you have a competition adjustable kettlebell like we're using right now, then you have a nearly infinite amount of training. You can start at 12K, do 10 minutes, build up to 200 reps, and start to walk that weight up. The goal is to get to generally 24K for 10 minutes with men as just a normal thing that everybody should be able to do. And ladies, depending on frame size, it could be anywhere from 12 to 20K. If you want to be good at it, then you will take those numbers up even higher. Men approaching 32K and ladies approaching 24K. The kettlebell snatch does things to your core that you will not get from any type of gym training. Kettlebells, clubs, and mace will build your capacity to do real life functional movement for a small amount of money absolutely anywhere in the world. It should be a complement to any other type of training that you do.